So you join me here today on the New Junction Canal at the Northfield Lane end, and known to a lot of people as the Stainey Mouth. So you can see here behind me you've got the New Junction Canal splits. It carries on to the New Junction Canal and then also goes to the canal at Cape Bramwith, and the guys at Browning come up with the topic of favourite pegs. Brain unselfishly upped itself, and what I thought I'd do is, with relevant at time of year in these canals, there's not a lot of roach feeding, so I thought we'll come to somewhere where we're going to get some bites, but we're going to catch some skimmers, and this area sprung straight to mind, and it's an area that I didn't draw exactly the peg I would say where I wanted to be, but I drew pretty close, and you can see the pegs behind me where we tried to get nice and early and we weren't quick enough to get here. But this area, this time of year when the fish have spawned, is fantastic for catching skimmers, hence why it's so popular. And I think what it is with the fish is they've got so much room. It must be at the widest part 70 metres wide here, whereas the rest of the canal is on average probably 35. So this time of year the fish are all shoaled up after spawning and they come and stop here, and every year you see big weights here. And like I say, I've actually drawn a match where I've drawn next to the area I feel is the best area, and that day I think I ended up with maybe 17 kilo, but the winners had 30 odd kilo. And I felt that if I come back and do things a little different, I don't know if I would have said beat them, but I definitely could have got a lot closer than what I did. I made some mistakes on where I fished and depths wise and things like that. So I thought it'd be nice to come back with cameras, sit in a very good area, do things a little bit different to how I did them that day, and see how we get on. And we're catching a few fish. It's a lovely day. Conditions aren't exactly bream weather, and sun cream and t-shirt, but there's enough to obviously have a nice day and try a few things. And yeah, it's a nice place to come where the fishing's selective at the time of year, but if you're going to be selective, this is the place to be selective, because I would say this is one of only a couple of epicenters on this canal this time of year. There's only probably 2 or 3 other spots where you could catch a really big weight. And I actually had a sneaky little practice just before at the weekend and managed to catch probably 70 pound on the pegs a couple further up. But we weren't quick enough to get here. They must have had a faster alarm clock than us, and we were here bright and early, and they were even earlier to get on these pegs. But like I said, we sat pretty near to where you'd like to be, and there's enough fish to have a nice day and obviously try a few things and hopefully right a few wrongs as to what I did that day. So yeah, we've just got kicked off, and like I said, we're catching a few, and hopefully we'll have a really good hour is what usually happens on here. You have a really good hour where you catch a bulk of your weight, but we're getting enough bites, and like I say, it's just a nice place to be, a nice warm day. So I've gone for like an approach with just 2 lines today. Keep it nice and simple. When you're in a good area, you're looking to win the match. So I'm looking in my approach to keep it simple and be positive on both lines. And the first line I'm going to talk about is my feeder line, and I've got a Black Viper 450 reel with a 12 foot 80 gram Black Viper rod, and I'm fishing today at probably 30 metres, 35 metres, and this rod will get me here comfortable. Got quite a strong breeze now in his face, but this rod will get me here comfortable, and on that I'm using the Senex 012 braid with a 5 metre shot leader of the Method Mono, then to a 30 gram small Xenos feeder. I did initially start on a bigger Xenos feeder to put some bait in, but it took a while to get bites on the feeder, so I've now changed to a 30 gram of the smaller one, the 4 square Xenos feeders. And then my hook length is the 015 fluorocarbon to a 14 sphere match, and like the sphere hooks are hooks I've used for a long time, but when I'm bream fishing I like a big hook. It's not a massive hook, but a 14 is a pretty substantial hook, and they're hard enough to get on. When you get them on, the last thing you want is them coming off, and my hook baits are going to be big hook baits, 3 dead maggots or a worm and a dead maggot or 2 little bits of worm. So I need a big hook that's going to accommodate that and leave some hook showing. So I've gone with a 14, and the 015 is, there's quite a few eels in canal as well, and if you hook one of them on this gear, just bite you off on nicer gear. And to be fair, I don't think it makes too much difference from the 013 to the 015 fluorocarbon. When you're on a few, you seem to just get a little visit and they're on, and then all of a sudden you're waiting for bites. So for me, I'd definitely rather have the gear on to get everything I hook out, other than to be a bit selective, and then if I hook an eel, it'd be nice to get it out, but if I hook it on the lighter gear, just bite me off. So I've gone with the 015, and the way I fish on here is just to cast regular. So 5 minutes for me is a long cast, so I've got a little stopwatch beside of me, and I'm just casting regular, trying to build up my peg, because you seem to, when they're there, you seem to get a bite within 2 or 3 minutes, which when there's some bites to be had is pretty common for bream fishing, but it stands out a mile on here where if you just sit and wait, you just don't, nothing happens. So I like to be busy, and I'm quite a proactive angler, so I like to be casting regular and giving myself the best chance of drawing them in, and then when they're there, hopefully nailing them as the feeder's gone in. And my mixers today, I've used a full bag of the quick skimmer, the feeder range, and half a bag of the robin and krill, and that's a high fish meal and like a deep red colour. So when you mix them two together, you end up with a really dark brown colour, almost like a dull red. And for me, when I'm looking to catch large numbers of fish, I'm a big fan of dark ground baits, but when I'm looking to catch a large weight of fish, for me, my ground bait, I don't want something that's going to hide on bottom. I want something that sort of stands out a little bit, so that the fish can come and find it quick enough, because obviously if there's plenty of fish there, they're competing for bait. So I want something that's going to stand out, make them come in, and give them something to roam about in. And I feel sometimes that we just go to dark ground baits too often. So when there's a lot of bites, for me, I like to make my mixer a fair bit lighter than the dark colours we usually use. So in my feeder, I've been loading it with some finely chopped worms and some dead maggots. Last time I initially started feeding casters, but when I came the other day, casters were brilliant because they hold your fish in your peg really well. Today fishing's not been as good, and adding maggots as opposed to casters has been better. And like I said, three dead red maggots on my hook has been probably my best hook bait today. Also, I've gone for another line, which is my long pole. So I've fished this at 13 metres, and in this part of the canal, where I'm casting the feeder to is probably 5 foot, maybe 6 foot maximum. But on the pole, on the near side, you've actually got more like the natural canal features here. So you can see the cabbages on the inside. It's nice and shallow on the inside, and it slopes away like the rest of the canal would. But then as you get to 13 metres, I've probably got 10 foot of water, and when I go past that, then it drops right off, and I'm getting probably 12 foot, which is too deep for me. So after 10 foot, I'm just not that interested in fishing in it. I just don't think it's that good to catch the skimmers in. But then as the canal keeps going further up, it shallows up again, and once you get to probably 20-25 metres, it shallows right up to probably 6 foot, and it's like that all the way across the far side. So I've just picked an area where I'll let the fish settle on the feeder, and then on my pole, I did initially plumb up at 14.5, but it was sloping away and it was just getting deeper and deeper, and I felt like it was too deep. So I've come back to 13, just on a gentle slope, and I've fed 3 balls of ground bait. And all I've done is got a 250ml pot, chopped some worms up, topped it up with casters and a few dead maggots, put that into a bowl, and then I've just added 3 cupfuls of my same feeder mix, where for me you don't need an active mix. There's no roach to be caught, so there's not much point in using something different on the pole to the feeder. I want a positive fish meal mix because I'm looking to catch good sized fish. So I've put the chopped worms into the bowl and added my 3 cups, and it's just made 3 balls that has got really quite a lot of bait in, and I've left that for nearly 2 hours before I went on it. So I've been on the feeder, caught a few fish, but we've gone on the pole then and I bite straight away on it. So it's been good, and the amount of bait has given them fish chance to come in several times without all the bait going. Especially when you're not looking to go on it for a couple of hours, you need to feed a volume of bait to hold the fish. So that's how I've approached it, and I've just been topping up them with just small rich balls. So I'll catch 2 or 3 fish, top up with a little rich ball, leave it 5 or 10 minutes, and then hopefully go back in and nail a few more. So it's pretty easy to see why I've chose to come here as one of my favourite pegs. There's not many places in the canal systems in the UK where you can catch 60-70 pound of bream at this time of year, and it also holds a lot of big matches. So for me, that's what I enjoy doing. There's been I've been involved in 2 recent nationals that have been held on here, and the Aaron Calder, the Division 2, which we're lucky enough to win with Brown in Ossett, and then the Division 1 actually the year after, which we managed to win that as well. So it's been kind to me on here, but I also put a lot of time in, and it's a venue that, like I said, where you can reap rewards if you put time in. Probably why it's so popular. So yeah, it's not been ideal today. That's my landing net. It's not been ideal today for bream, but we've definitely had a nice day's fishing, and like I said, I think if we could have sneaked up a couple of pegs more, we definitely would have caught a few more, but we're not being greedy, and it's just nice to be here in nice sunbathing conditions.